Right Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency the Vice President, Your Ladyship the Chief Justice, Honorable Members of the Judiciary, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished leaders of our security forces, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, our revered traditional rulers, religious leaders, invited guests, fellow Ghanaians, I wish you a very good morning. Mr. Speaker, over the years I've often spoken about and made reference to the tremendous power that exists within every single Ghanaian. The power to create things and influence the course of events, the power to shape the future of this great nation of ours. We are Ghana's greatest wealth, the individual skills, talents, passions, personalities, ideas, and ingenuity we bring can make a world of difference to our country. When we lose someone, especially someone who is in the prime of his or her life, we mourn much more than what the person was to us or meant to us. We also mourn the possibility of what the person might have been or could have accomplished. Mr. Speaker, every year since the good people of Ghana elected me to serve as President, I have come to this august house in fulfillment of Article 67 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to address the state of our nation. In many ways, because I began as a member of Parliament, this house is my political home, and its honorable members are my brothers and sisters. We stood on different sides and held our positions. We argued points and we pointed out what we felt was the error in the other side's thinking. But as I recall, at the end of the day, we were more than worthy opponents. We recognized ourselves as a family, as a microcosm of the larger Ghanaian family. Mr. Speaker, it pains me today to see the vacant seat of our brother, my friend, Honorable J.B. Dankwa-Edu, MP for Ebuakwa North.
Get me those extra papers I gave you, the first ones. From Stan.
Yeah, there are some papers I gave you with some writings on it. No, they were not part of the speech. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, dear. J.B. Dankwa-Edu, MP for Ebuakwa North. J.B., as we popularly called him, was aged 50 years when he was brutally murdered. J.B. was a gentleman who walked away from every conversation with a smile. He genuinely loved Ghana, and that devotion shone through in everything that he did, especially in his constituency where he was quite popular and very well regarded. Mr. Speaker, J.B.'s absence in this house and in his constituency is both seen and felt. We've lost a member of our family, and Ghana has lost a true son who would no doubt have gone on to contribute greatly to the betterment of our nation. I would like, therefore, on behalf of the good people of Ghana and all those present today, to offer our deepest condolences to Mr. Frank Edu and Mr. George Chumberima Edu, brothers of Honorable J.B. Dankwa, who I believe are here in Parliament today. I'd also like to respectfully request that we take a full minute of silence to honor him and our compatriots who passed away during last week's Metro mass transit bus accident. May his soul and the soul of the faithfully departed rest in perfect peace. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, my government is committed to putting people first. I've said that again and again for the past several years. But what does that really mean? How is that declaration affecting the lives of people in Boko, Aflao, or say Axim? We politicians are known for talking plenty. Yet, the irony of such a stereotype is that in actual fact, words often fail us. They fail to convey the numerous ways in which what we are doing is directly impacting the lives of those we are serving. And that is because we say things in ways that sometimes take the very subjects of our concerns and turn them into objects or place them in demographics or speak of them as statistics. We detail projects and proposals, we cite budgets and data, figures, and bottom lines that can feel very far removed from the flesh and blood realities of the people whose lives we seek to improve. Mr. Speaker, in this address on the state of the nation, I would like to show the direct line between policy and people. I would like to show how the seeds we have been planting for the last 3 years have taken root and grown. Some, Mr. Speaker, some have now become trees, bearing fruits that are ripe for the picking. And many more are fast approaching maturity, preparing to display their gifts. Mr. Speaker, I would like to show how we are changing lives. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to show how we are changing lives, and what a better place to start than with education, which has proven to be the single most effective way not only to change a single life, but all the other lives that surround it. And education can break the cycle of poverty and abuse. Education is the key that can unlock for children wealth into which their parents could not enter, wealth they never even knew existed. During this term, my first term as president, we have consciously developed strategies Mr. Speaker, during this term, my first term as president, we have consciously developed strategies and made interventions to raise the quality of education by emphasizing its relevance, improving access, and working to eliminate gender discrimination and inequality. We've also worked to better train and equip our teachers. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has been commended by the United Nations for meeting the targets of the Millennium Development Goals of achieving universal primary education with gender parity. Despite that achievement, there are still a significant number of school-age children that are not enrolled in school. These children are now being targeted under the compulsory basic education program. In the last year, a total of 54,800 of them in 4 regions of the nation have been enrolled into schools. These are 54,800 children who would not have otherwise received an education. These are 54,800 children whose lives will now have much different outcomes as a result of this program. Mr. Speaker, other important social interventions that are being implemented in the education sector include the issuance of free supplies such as uniforms, sandals, and textbooks. Mr. Speaker, In June 2015, I launched the National Free Sandals Program, which saw the start of the distribution of 10,000 Kumasi Shoe Factory made in Ghana, 10,000 Kumasi Shoe Factory made in Ghana leather sandals to school children in need across the nation. A number of students who would have struggled without the basic necessities with which to attend schools, students like Mohammed Awabu of Mogla JHS in the Savlugu district in the northern region, who received free sandals, or David Aminayire of Nayegna JHS Kasina Nankana Municipal Upper East region, who received free school uniform, free exercise, and free textbooks. And I believe they are in the gallery at my invitation. Mr. Speaker, last year I insisted that the Ministry of Education should ensure that all textbooks and exercise books to be supplied to our schools are printed here in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, this is on course. And in fact, I would like to acknowledge the statement of gratitude received from the Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association, led by Mr. James Apia Bekun. I would especially like to take note of their indication that this intervention will help create 1,400 new direct jobs. Better still, that's 1,400 new direct jobs in Ghanaian businesses. Mr. Speaker, in our determination to improve quality of education, we've also introduced two new programs: the Teacher Professional Development and the Provision of Teaching and Learning Materials programs. Mr. Speaker, the Teacher Professional Development Initiative aims to attain a target of 95% trained teachers at the basic level by 2020, as set out in the Education Strategic Plan. The Provision of Teaching and Learning Materials program has also seen the distribution of teaching and learning materials to 10,924 basic schools. In addition, 30,000 trained teachers were trained in ICT under the Basic School Computerization Program, bringing the total number of teachers trained under the program to 50,000. Mr. Speaker, secondary education was plagued with a number of challenges, notably a lack of access, leading to a poor transition rate from JHS to SHS. We are vigorously confronting these challenges under our program to establish 200 senior high schools. Mr. Speaker, I can report that 123 are currently being implemented and are at different stages of construction. I wish to place this in a broader perspective. Mr. Speaker, the first secondary school was established in Ghana 140 years ago in 1876. Between that date and 2012, the number of public secondary schools established was 526. The 123 schools that are being implemented right now will create almost 200,000 new places in the system, thereby making the Community Day School intervention the biggest ever expansion program in the entire history of secondary education in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, it is because of this program that 16-year-old Apim Shulamite is now the Assistant School Prefect of the Atta Mills Community Day School in Otuam. Mr. Speaker, the young lady you see up there, Apim, who is in the gallery, who once dreamt of becoming a nurse. Mr. Speaker, who once dreamt of becoming a nurse, had to stay home for 1 year due to lack of access to secondary school. Mr. Speaker, Apim's parents are settlers from Somanya but live in the Ekumfi area. Her father is a taxi driver and her mother sells second-hand clothing. Mr. Speaker, during the year that Apim stayed at home, she sold wache and worked in a chop bar. Because of the community day schools intervention, students like Apim are able to go from limited prospects to the fulfillment of their personal dreams that ultimately benefits the entire nation. Mr. Speaker, additionally, under the Secondary Education Improvement Program, SAPE, 10,400 students benefited from scholarship. 60% of the beneficiaries are young women like Gertrude Eshia Yeboah, who I believe is also in the gallery here today. She is currently a student at the St. Augustine's SHS in Bogoso in the Western region. Mr. Speaker, enrollment in tertiary institutions increased by 6.3% for universities and 8.9% for polytechnics. In November of last year, I inaugurated the main campus of the University for Health and Allied Sciences, UHAS, at Ho, which in just 3 years of its establishment has achieved many remarkable success stories. So far, more than 2,300 students have been enrolled into this institution. Associated with the enrollment is also the creation of 816 direct jobs for teaching and non-teaching staff of UHAS. But Mr. Speaker, those are just numbers. Let me tell you about one of those 2,300 students, Jijo Kwamwa from Fodomehelu. She lost her mom when she was only 10 years old. When she counted herself along with her other 13 siblings, Mr. Speaker, when she counted herself along with her 13 siblings, those being her father's children, there didn't seem to be any hope that she would stand out. Thankfully, an uncle of hers took her in and took care of her through JHS and SHS. She was admitted to Aburi Girls and completed her studies there in 2014. Only to find that despite being highly qualified, she could not attend medical school due to inadequate access. Now with the opening of the University for Health and Allied Sciences, Jijo is indeed standing out. This access has made a tremendous difference in her life. Mr. Speaker, it has made a tremendous difference in her life. She is studying medicine in the University of Health and Allied Sciences. And Mr. Speaker, it will make a difference in the life of the patients that Jijo will treat in future when she fully qualifies as a doctor. Mr. Speaker, progress has been made at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, which has so far admitted 2,685 students and created 315 teaching and non-teaching jobs. The bill for the establishment of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development in the Eastern Region has been passed by this August House. I have appointed an implementation team to assist the Ministry of Education in realizing this vision in the shortest possible time. In fulfillment of our pledge to ensure that each region in Ghana has at least one public university, we are on course to begin construction this year at Donkokrom and in the Afram Plains and Somanya, all in the Eastern region. Mr. Speaker, in furtherance of our policy to convert the polytechnics into technical universities, 6 of them have met the 16-point criteria and have been recommended for immediate conversion in this academic year. They are Kumasi, Accra, Koforidua, Ho, Sunyani, and Takrade. The remaining 4 polytechnics will be assisted by a special arrangement to support them with infrastructure, equipment, and the strengthening of their faculty to enable them meet the conversion criteria in the shortest possible time. Mr. Speaker, the abolition of the quota system for enrollment in colleges of education has increased admissions by 63%. This has created access for many students who otherwise would not have had the opportunity. To assist teacher trainees and finance their education following the cancellation of the teacher trainee allowances, I've asked the Ministry of Education to direct the Student Loans Trust to register trainees on their campuses and disburse student loans to them. This new system allows us to reinvest in the education of the next generation of teachers and students, and is a more sustainable way to support teacher trainees. To fulfill the policy of providing colleges of education in underserved areas and to expand access to teacher training, government is absorbing into the public stream the following colleges: the St. Ambrose College of Education in Doma, the Al-Farak College of Education in Wenchi. This will become our first ever Islamic College of Education. Mr. Speaker, the Gambaga College of Education in the East Mamprusi District, the St. Vincent College of Education in Yendi Municipality, the Bia Lamplighter College of Education in the Bia District. 2 other private colleges will be absorbed in the Brongahafo region and Ashanti region to fulfill the initiative of providing colleges of education in underserved areas. In addition, work will begin on 3 new colleges in the Greater Accra, Central, and Northern regions. Mr. Speaker, last year we worked to improve the skills of in-service teachers. In 2016, we are going one step further by enhancing the education of pre-service teachers by giving them skills and tools they need to excel in the classroom and prepare our children for a bright and prosperous future. We are doing this through transforming the Teacher Education and Learning Program, which aims to impact 35,000 teachers over the next 4 years. Central to this achievement are 38 colleges of education. Mr. Speaker, at independence, our life expectancy was a little over 40 years. Today, life expectancy has increased by more than 14 years. This increase is due to advances in medicine, improvements in health infrastructure, and the increased number of health personnel. Not only are we living longer in our adult years, more infants are living to see those years. According to the Ghana Demographic and Health Survey, there has been a drastic decrease in the rates of infant mortality and under-5 mortality. Over the last decade, under-5 mortality decreased from 111 to 60 per 1,000 live births. Infant mortality dropped by almost 30% from 64 to 41 per 1,000 live births over the same period. Mr. Speaker, the mothers of these children are also surviving during pregnancy and after childbirth because antenatal and intrapartum and postnatal care has improved. Mr. Speaker, we are poised to invest heavily in the coming years in education and preventive health care for the treatment of chronic, non-communicable diseases due to lifestyle choices. Diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and obesity. The investment in preventive health is even more prudent as our nutritional habits continue to change. Mr. Speaker, the double burden of communicable and non-communicable diseases raises an even more fundamental question about sustainable healthcare financing. This is precisely why I have constituted a technical committee to make proposals that will lead to a fundamental redesign of the National Health Insurance Scheme. Mr. Speaker, 2015 saw an active NHIS membership of 11.2 million people. That is 41% of our population. Mr. Speaker, outpatient utilization of the National Health Insurance Scheme rose to 29.6 million in 2014 from 597,000 in 2005. For us, this undeniable pattern of increased utilization of healthcare insurance bears ample testimony to the confidence that our people continue to have both in the scheme and in the health system. It is also the reason why questions about the adequacy of the funding mechanism cannot be ignored. To this end, government expects the team of technical experts I have set up to propose for government's consideration fundamental reforms that will touch on areas such as equity, premiums, expansion of the revenue base, claims fraud, benefit packages, and the procurement of medications. Mr. Speaker, I want to make medication affordable for all Ghanaians. And that is why I want our local pharmaceutical companies to produce as many medications as possible right here in Ghana. To that end, we disburse more than 50 million Ghana cedis to assist pharmaceutical companies in Ghana to be able to do so. We also removed VAT on all their raw materials. Mr. Speaker, recently the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana paid a courtesy call on me in my office and commended government for the help that we have given them in expanding their businesses. Mr. Speaker, through this we hope to achieve an uninterrupted supply of antiretroviral drugs for HIV and AIDS patients. There are also innumerable other associated benefits to this strategy, not the least of which is the creation of more jobs in the pharmaceutical companies in Ghana. And today we have here in the gallery Mr. Samuel Amo Tobin, the Chief Executive Officer of the Tobinco Group, which was one of the companies that benefited from government support to the pharmaceutical industry. Other companies like NS Chemists and several of them also benefited. The funds were disbursed by the Export Development and Agricultural Investment Fund. With the support received, these pharmaceutical companies have been able to increase their production portfolio substantially. The companies produce analgesics, antibiotics, antiretrovirals, and various syrups for the local market. And Tobinco is exporting to Niger, Gambia, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. Mr. Speaker, one cannot speak of health without speaking of physical exercise. There is a need to return physical education or sports onto our school curriculum. The current situation where PE and sports have been de-emphasized in the academic curriculum is in the long run extremely costly. It directly impacts the health outcomes of students in the area of obesity and such illnesses that arise from a sedentary life. It is plain to see that the benefits far outweigh the cost. And I've asked the Ministers of Education and Health and Sports to initiate stakeholder discussion to ensure the adequate reintegration of sports back into the school curriculum. Mr. Speaker, in October of last year, 12 people in the West Gonja district in Northern region were affected by yellow fever. In December of last year, there was an outbreak of pneumococcal meningitis that started in the Brong-Ahafo region. These incidents remind us that public health emergencies are not to be taken lightly. They are an ever-present possibility. Ghana has been commended numerous times by the international community for being on the front line during the fight against Ebola. As others were standing still or worse, stepping back because of fear, we stepped forward and took control of the situation, helping to mobilize efforts that ultimately helped contain the virus. Mr. Speaker, the World Health Organization has declared the Zika virus a public health emergency of global concern. Numerous cases of the virus have been reported in Brazil, the United States, and other countries in the Americas, as well as in a few parts of Europe and Africa. Our Ministry of Health, acting through its agencies, has started coordinating education programs on the prevention of the Zika virus. The ministry is also keeping health facilities on the alert with timely messages on transmission patterns, associated signs and symptoms, methods of prevention, and emergency preparedness planning. I assure the people of Ghana that government is putting itself in preparedness and equipping itself to deal with this and any other public health issue that might arise. Mr. Speaker, our healthcare system has improved tremendously. We continue to invest about this one too, should I show you? It is evident for everybody to see. Mr. Speaker, our healthcare system has improved tremendously. We continue to invest heavily in the sector to ensure an even better system, because as a social democratic government, we believe that a healthy people As a social democratic government, we believe that a healthy people make a wealthy nation. It is for this core reason that over the past few years, we have invested over $2 billion in health infrastructure, equipment, and human resources. We project the completion of the program by the completion of the program to add more than 6,000 new hospital beds to Ghana's existing stock by the end of 2018. Mr. Speaker, presently there are 3 teaching hospitals, 3 institutional hospitals, 4 regional hospitals, 14 district hospitals, dozens of polyclinics and health centers, as well as thousands of CHIPS compounds. And many at various stages of completion. Mr. Speaker, you want a list, you have it. Construction of the University Hospital at Legon, upgrading and rehabilitation of the Ridge Hospital, expansion of the second phase of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, expansion of the police hospital in Accra are all progressing steadily. Mr. Speaker, you want a list, you have it. The Wa Regional Hospital, which commenced in October 2012, is presently 70% complete. It is part of the 8 hospitals project that we are undertaking. Mr. Speaker, work on the following hospitals are also progressing. You are having your list. The 250-bed regional hospital in Kumau, the 60-bed district hospital in Salaga, the 60-bed district hospital in Tepa, the 60-bed district hospital in Soko, the 60-bed district hospital in Konongo Dumase, and the 100-bed municipal hospital near Atomic in Accra. Mr. Speaker, that's not all. I can give you more. Mr. Speaker, rehabilitation of the 295-bed Bolgatanga Hospital is progressing satisfactorily. Mr. Speaker, work on the new modern emergency department for Kolejibu Teaching Hospital is 90% complete. Mr. Speaker, a 12-bed intensive care unit for the Department of Surgery has been refurbished and equipped. Mr. Speaker, 6 district hospitals with integrated IT systems are currently being designed and constructed and equipped at an estimated cost of $175 million. The beneficiary communities will be Sekondi Takrade, Abetifi District, Garu District, Kumau District, Fomena District, and Dodoa. Mr. Speaker, I have requested that the Minister for Health should convert the regional hospital, the Volta Regional Hospital, into a modern teaching hospital befitting of the status of a university hospital for the use of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta region. Mr. Speaker, the continuation of the $264 million National Medical Equipment Replacement Program, which has so far provided diagnostic and treatment equipment to over 150 hospitals nationwide, will ensure adequate provision for the much-needed retooling of the regional hospital in the Volta region. Mr. Speaker, we're training more healthcare professionals. We're improving on the conditions of their service so that we may retain them to work in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, Umar Mahmoud Mokhtar, and this is a fascinating story. Umar Mahmoud Mokhtar, and he's up there in the gallery. Mr. Speaker, this gentleman worked as a farmhand, but he had always dreamed of becoming a healthcare professional. His opportunity came when a health training institute was opened in Laura in the Upper West region. And Mr. Speaker, as I speak, this young man is well on his course to realizing his dream of becoming a healthcare professional. Mr. Speaker, this gentleman might probably save your life one day. Mr. Speaker, we are providing and building a better health infrastructure and providing more modern equipment to meet the current and future needs of our population. And so, Mr. Speaker, people like Mercy Poma, who gave birth at the Nkran Kwanta Polyclinic in January of this year, because Mercy's previous pregnancy went through a cesarean section, her condition with this pregnancy was delicate and one that could ordinarily have endangered her life. Mr. Speaker, because her first childbirth was by cesarean section, it was obvious that the pregnancy was delicate and one that could ordinarily only be undertaken by a higher level healthcare facility. Having access to a capable and well-equipped polyclinic nearby decreased the travel time necessary for Mercy to access medical attention throughout the pregnancy. And also when it came to time to deliver her twins, the establishment of a new polyclinic at Nkrankwanta ensured that she delivered safely. And so today she is a proud mother of twins who are safe and sound because a modern polyclinic was built in her community. Mr. Speaker, stories like this should be ordinary and expected, not exemplary. And we are working hard to make it so. I firmly believe that Ghana's health system has been placed permanently on the right trajectory, and that it will be the healthcare system that other nations on the African continent will emulate and strive to duplicate. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana AIDS Commission has successfully coordinated implementation of the National HIV and AIDS Strategic Plan 2011 to 2015. Adult HIV prevalence rate has stabilized over the past 3 years. The current prevalence of 1.4% reflects declining new HIV infections and reduced morbidity and mortality among persons living with HIV. Through targeted prevention strategies, new HIV infections have declined. We have seen a consistent reduction in new HIV infections from a baseline of 16,200 new infections to 11,356, a 30% decline over the past 5 years. Mr. Speaker, we are aiming to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of HIV. We also are aiming to eliminate infection of pregnant mothers and put them on treatment in order that they do not pass the transmission to their children. Mr. Speaker, the prevalence of HIV-exposed babies has reduced drastically to 8% at birth and 21% after breastfeeding, down from 32%. Mr. Speaker, on social protection, we recognize that while carrying out structural reforms to achieve fiscal stability, many vulnerable families and households that are below the poverty line could suffer further deterioration in their quality of life. For this reason, government takes its social protection policies very seriously. We've made remarkable gains in the gender, children, and social protection sector by strengthening the legal and policy framework, effectively mainstreaming gender concerns, and increasing child rights protection. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet has approved 5 important policies to strengthen our children and social protection: the Child and Family Welfare Policy, the National Gender Policy, the Social Protection Policy, the Justice for Children Policy, and the School Feeding Policy. Other critical pieces of legislation designed to strengthen our social protection programs, such as the Affirmative Action Bill, the Aging Bill, the Domestic Violence Regulations, Adoption and Foster Care Regulations, have all been finalized and validated. These bills and regulations will be presented to this House this year to be enacted into law. In addition, we are also implementing programs to protect the elderly. The new bank card introduced by the ministry has gained acceptance in many institutions, and the elderly who present this card at bus stations, banks, hospitals, and other public places are given priority in order of service. So far, over 14,000 cards have been issued in 7 regions, with the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection set to issue another 9,000 cards to conclude the first phase of the program. Mr. Speaker, we also continue to work to improve the opportunities available to persons with disability. It has been proven over and over again that disability is not inability. Our Minister for Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Seydou Dana, is a living testimony to the veracity of this statement. Mr. Speaker, he performs his duties just as effectively as any other member of my cabinet. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, for many years General Secretary of the CPP and now presidential candidate of the party, is also a testament to the fact that disability should not be allowed to be a bar to achievement. Mr. Speaker, it is estimated that persons with one form of disability or another constitute roughly 10% of our population, meaning that more than 2.6 million of our compatriots fall into this bracket. I'm of the opinion that marginalization of such a huge segment of our population is not only unconscionable and impractical, but it's unwise. Many governmental and charity institutions are providing skills training for persons with disability to improve their opportunities in the world of work. Under the Skills Development Fund, support has been provided to the Ghana Society for the Physically Disabled to procure a modern automated chalk molding plant in order to enhance the production of chalk at their factory. This support will allow the organization to meet the standards required by the Ghana Education Service. Training was also provided for the Lakeside Cross Disability Self-Help Group by the Animal Research Division of CSIR in animal husbandry, with an eye to the enhancement of sustainable livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, to create further opportunities for persons with disability, I have requested the Administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund to increase the disability grants from 2% to 3%. Mr. Speaker, this is a 50% increase for the current fiscal year. Mr. Speaker, this formula is to be presented to the members of this August House for your approval. The moratorium for disabled access to public buildings pursuant to the Persons with Disability Act of 2006 expires this year. The National Council on Persons with Disability has developed the Ghana Standards on Accessibility Designs for implementation. This will enable owners of public buildings to provide accessibility to buildings for disabled persons. Mr. Speaker, last year on July 23rd, I became the first sitting president to pay a formal visit to a Ghanaian prison. Joining the Prison Council, officers and inmates of Nsawam for the launch of Project Ifiase opened my eyes to the deplorable conditions that exist in our prisons. As a follow-up to my visit, the Prisons Council commissioned the design of a new remand block at Nsawam prison. This is specifically designed to decongest the prison, and this project will begin construction this year. Mr. Speaker, in order to empower headquarters Kayaye and reduce their vulnerabilities, we've set up a coordinated gender-based response center at Malamata and Agbogloshi Market as a pilot to provide humanitarian support, counseling services, and psychosocial support to Kayayes and market women. Mr. Speaker, and if some people will return the alleged 5,000 they were given, we can add it to this program. Mr. Speaker, we've also registered thousands of the Kayaye free onto the NHIS in order to enable them to access quality health care. In addition, a microfinance credit program for alternative livelihoods for market porters, Kayaye, will also be launched this year. Mr. Speaker, since 2013, government has progressively expanded the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program from 1,640 beneficiary households in 2008. It increased to 71,000 in January 2013. And Mr. Speaker, as I speak, as of November 2015, LEAP has been expanded to 144,980 beneficiary households. The cash grants have also been increased this year. This has helped beneficiaries to not only address their crucial needs, but has also allowed for some of them to invest some of their income into income generation projects that supplement family finances. And I'll share with you just two such examples of this. Mr. Speaker, 42-year-old LEAP beneficiary, Zainabu Sumaila, Mr. Speaker, Zainabu Sumaila is from Ninkongo in the Pusiga district of the Upper East region. She has invested a part of her LEAP grant into pig farming. Before that, she had no meaningful source of livelihood. Zainabu used to help her husband to tend a small farm, but after her husband died, it threw she and her two children into abject poverty. She had to rely on the kindness of the people in her community for virtually everything. Mr. Speaker, even the chief of Ninkongo had to assist her in feeding her household. The lack of an income source also meant that her children could not attend school regularly and the family could not afford health care. After receiving her cash grant on a number of occasions, Zainabu started saving and she invested in animal rearing. She started with just one piglet and she now has more than 10. She has been able to supplement her cash grant with income generated from selling piglets on the market. And as a result of this, she is now able to buy enough food for her household. And her children are attending school regularly, and by virtue of being a LEAP beneficiary, Zainabu was able to register on the National Health Insurance, free of charge. Mr. Speaker, another LEAP beneficiary is Awenemi Apogyanga from Sumbrungu in Bolgatanga. Mr. Speaker, Awenemi Apogyanga from Sumbrungu in Bolgatanga. Mr. Speaker, she proved to be just as enterprising. A widow, Awenemi used to try to make ends meet by using her loom that she owned to weave traditional cloth. The money this brought in was not enough to sustain her household, so her children would often skip school to do part-time work to make enough money to buy the material that she needed to sew the cloth. Mr. Speaker, with the assistance of the LEAP program, Awenemi procured a weaving machine, and she is not only able to afford the material in order to make the cloth, which she then sells to smoke makers at the Bolgatanga market. As a result of this, her children no longer have to abandon school to go and work to help earn money for their household. Mr. Speaker, these are living testimonies of how people's lives are changed. Mr. Speaker, to ensure the smooth implementation of the National Youth Policy in January 2015, I launched the Policy Implementation Plan. The plan provides an accelerated framework with specific timelines for the adoption of programs and activities in the policy document. Mr. Speaker, a total of 1,646 youth were trained under a vocational skills training program that was conducted by the country's Youth Leadership and Skills Training Institute. Mr. Speaker, the Youth Employment Agency Act 2015 has been passed to create a solid foundation upon which the Youth Employment Agency can be structured and run. Recruitment under the YEA has also started, and it is targeted to recruit 100,000 young people over the next 12 months in 5 different modules. Mr. Speaker, the new Youth Employment Agency is implementing a purely cashless organization where all financial transactions will be electronic or by check. Mr. Speaker, the Youth Enterprise Support Initiative also made significant progress in the year under review. A total of 2,048 applications were received in response to its first call, and 107 individuals were selected for financial and technical support. The vetting and final selection of beneficiaries was done by independent experts, business stakeholders, and on a panel. Out of the 107 beneficiaries, 81 were earmarked to receive financial support and 26 to receive technical support. The progress of all beneficiaries is closely monitored by the YES Business Support Team and the YES Monitoring and Evaluation Desk through mandatory reporting and regular business site visits and audits. That first call under YES has created over 800 direct and indirect jobs for Ghanaian youth. The second call for applications was made in January this year, and so far almost 4,000 applications have been received. I urge our youth to take advantage of this initiative. Mr. Speaker, one growing area of opportunity for our young people is in ICT services and applications. In the last few years, we've made significant progress in entrepreneurship support and the incubation of programs. These serve as foundations for a strong digital ICT market. A number of interventions are being implemented, including MLabs, iHubs, Accra BPO Center, Kumasi Business Incubator, Regional Innovation Centers, and the ICT Park in Tema to boost the innovation ecosystem and enhance digital opportunities and entrepreneurship. Mr. Speaker, under sports, in addition to the construction of the Cape Coast Stadium, which has been completed and I shall have the privilege of commissioning soon, Mr. Speaker, the Cape Coast Stadium, which has been completed and I shall have the honor of commissioning soon, we've also completed the drawings and bills of quantities for the construction of the new Edubiasi Sports Stadium. And I'm sure Honorable Yaka will be very happy about this. Mr. Speaker, last September, Ghana participated in the 2015 All-African Games held in Congo, Brazzaville, and won a total of 19 medals. Our women's football team must be particularly commended for winning the football trophy. Mr. Speaker, the senior national football team, the Black Stars, played second in the African Nations Cup tournament held in Equatorial Guinea in January 2015. And the Black Starlights placed third in the Orange Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations tournament held in Senegal last year. Mr. Speaker, government commits to the implementation of the findings and recommendations of the World Cup Commission, even as we confront the legal hurdles ahead. Mr. Speaker, a new boxing gym and sports complex being built by SNIT near the Kole Lagoon will be commissioned this year. This will give opportunity for young people in Bukom and other surrounding areas who have a talent for boxing to realize their dreams. Nilante, your boxing gym is here. Mr. Speaker,